Hey BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. And I thought I would film a quick video. I'm gonna try to literally be quick because, well, still working, my dad and our friend who has a business in, I don't know if he's a contractor or a construction or whatever, but they're redoing my bathroom, so I don't know when they're going to be back, if they're done for the day, and they decide to go golfing or something, although I wouldn't go golfing in this cold, because it's like in the 30s, maybe up to the 40s by this point, and I don't know, maybe my mom just left to run an errand, and maybe she'll tell me now is not the best time to film something. But, as they say, consistency with these videos, and it has been a while since I uploaded, so I'm going to just do you guys an update. Do for you guys an update. Okay, so I finished Hidden Sea, which was really great. It's a Nutcracker origin story by Gregory Maguire, which is what he's known for. I don't know if I might have already talked about Hidden Sea, but it's really good. I mean, now if you're familiar, you know how Gregory Maguire writes if you're familiar with his work, and it is very adult, and he goes into territories that are like political or religion, and this one focuses on religion and is historical. And let me go ahead if I can get it. Where is it? I do not know where it is. Oh wait, it's behind the bear. The Christmas snowman. This book, as you guys know. So it is a bit. There's some vulgarity, like talks. There's a couple scenes. There's our main character has sex for the first time, and it does have LGBTQ representation. There is a lot of German words that are hard to pronounce, and unless you know the language. So, and I do not, so I had trouble with that. And although my dad will probably he's pretty good at, I don't know if you would say an ear for languages, but he's pretty good at that. And I think it has to do with, his job required that. But he would probably, and he's also traveled to Germany around like Christmas time because they have festivals there, and so he'd probably have told me the German words, but it's not like I have it on hand all the time. So I live at home. He has a lot. He does other things. He has a life. It's very interesting. It's kind of slow moving. I didn't think it was slow. I read it fast, but it's a bit slow moving and tedious at times because it's just about this young man's life and his relationships with the people around him. It does get a little and weird at times. It's very much it felt like reading a fairy tale, like an adult fairy tale. It's hard to explain, but there is, I'm sure a lot of you guys have read fairy tales, and just the writing style is very unique. And and of course it's a Nutcracker origin story, so it has a very whimsical feel to it. Now don't expect this to be like the Nutcracker ballet. This is more the origin story of how the Nutcracker was created and Clara's uncle, her mysterious uncle that shows up and gives her the Nutcracker. It's his origin story. It's more about him than the Nutcracker itself. And it did not go in the direction I thought it was going to go, which was slightly disappointing, but that's okay. It was still a good book. But it's very whimsical, a little bit dark. Like I said, a bit slow moving. It might be slower moving for some people than it was for me. But I thought it was really good. And it's a good book to read around this time of year because, you know, it's the Nutcracker. It's the origin story of the Nutcracker, so it's kind of perfect for this time of year. That's why I chose to read it now. And then but I also finished Gulliver's Travels last night, although technically I didn't because I finally was like, I wanted to just give it back to the library, even though I did like it. I was entertained by it, but it was like I was feeling, I was like, oh, I can read at the library, but then as soon as I get there, because it was around, they close at 5, and it was on around 3, and I wanted to have time to look around. And unless I know specific authors I'm looking for, and the fact that it's a small library, and and both the bookstore and the library, I think, consist of only books that would appeal to the people in this town. And I've said this before, this is originally is a retiree town, so a lot of older people. And there's those cliches and tropes that older people they like reading. They're mysteries and romance novels and thrillers and stuff like that. So it's a little limiting to what you can find here, and I'm not gonna find a lot of unless it's very popular here in America too. You're not gonna find a lot of British literature either. Like Dickens and Austen, of course, I'll find that, and the Bronte sisters. I found that here, but actually today I have been looking for Trollope, and I have a couple times found some Trollope books there, but surprisingly, but very rarely. And today, actually, someone had brought a whole collection of one of his Trollope series there, which I will show you those in a minute. So I jumped on that. I only got 2 though, because I have asked for those for Christmas, and hopefully, if people give them, the people that I'm asking, the people that have seen my list will get them in the right. Well, look at the order, because the series doesn't have a number order, but there is, I think it does, but it does in the descriptions, I think, does say that this is the first book, and this is the second book, and the fourth book, and, my mom's home, let me close the door, or let me at least make sure it's not my dad. Go on. Not surprised, it's actually my mom. So anyway, I got those, and I'll show you those in a little bit. But let's get back to talking about Gulliver's Travels. So this is one that I wanted to read in my British Lit class, but we didn't get around to it because we spent so much time Canterbury Tales, and Hamlet was the next read, and it was kind of rushed. So I was a little disappointed by that. But as soon as it's at the library, I jumped on that and borrowed it. Okay, so I did give it 3 stars on Goodreads. I don't have it because, like I said, I wanted to return it to the library as soon as I got there. And I wanted to also have time to look around, so I only had 2 hours. And even though there really wasn't that much left, I was still feeling anxious and rushed. And then there was a mother with her kids there. I think a mother with her kids, maybe a grandmother. So there was a little bit of noise, and the only spaces either I sit on the side with all the nonfiction, or I sit on the kids' YA side, and I usually go there, because, maybe I should start going over the other side, but I don't think there's that much. On the kids' side, there's tables, but I think there's only chairs, unless I was allowed to go in that one. There's a little room, a conference type room, so unless I go in there, and I don't know if you can, and then there's only one chair, so I think I would have to double check on that. So there was a bit of distractions, but most people are probably familiar with Gulliver's Travels, at least heard. There was a few years ago, there was a remake starring Jack Black, which only focused on Gulliver's time with the little people, the Lilliputians. I think that's how you say it. But he's basically a surgeon that travels the sea voyage, and there's a shipwreck, and he ends up on 4 different islands at 4 different times during 4 different voyages. And it's a satire, so it's a kind of a commentary on society, particularly English society. And it's all about him adapting to all these different groups, species of people, or race of people. Like, there's the Lilliputians, there's the Giants, then there's, I don't know, the last 2 names I couldn't pronounce. Actually, the Giants had another name too, but in neither case I couldn't pronounce any. The only ones I could, the Lilliputas. That's not as hard to pronounce, but those were the people. Though that group of people were obsessed with mathematics, and they thought logically. They were all about reason and intelligent academic subjects. That's what they put their most value on. They didn't care about anything else. And then you have the last group of people which I don't know, I can't pronounce their name, but the horse people, essentially. Not centaurs. Actual horses. There's an island full of horses, but there were a group of humanoids on the island who were kind of like, I don't know if they were slaves to the horses, but they were kind of like, they looked like cavemen. Like, I kept picturing, if you guys are familiar with the show Buffy, there is an episode in season 4 where Buffy, after she's been dumped by a guy or rejected by this guy that she liked and had sex with for the first time, and he was a douchebag about it, she drowns her sorrows in beer, even though, of course, legally she can't drink it, but she decides to drown her sorrows in beer, and it turns out there's a warlock that owns the bar that he has put a magic spell or potion on the beer so that when you drink it, you become a cave person. So when she's thinking about these arrogant college dudes who are like spouting philosophy, who treat Xander horribly, want to punch him all in the face, they end up turning into cavemen along with Buffy. She becomes a cave woman, and it kind of made me think of what they look like as cavemen. The huge protruding brow, the really bony body, and the excessive hair and all that. So anyway, I thought the book was amusing. It was amusing and very entertaining. Like, there were a couple scenes I really liked. Like, I was surprised. I did hear it was vulgar, but I'm still kind of surprised that they had the urine scene. I thought that was just something they add in the Jack Black movie. But there's a scene where when he's with the little people, one of the royals, her house catches on fire, and he realizes the quickest way to put out the fire is if he pees on it. But of course it's pee, so she gets all gross and disturbed and upset about it. And I was very tempted to just use a pun right then and there. But and of course, at first I'm thinking, okay, I get it, that's gross. But at the same time, it's like, he saved your life and put out the fire. It's like, you would think he'd be grateful for that. But it still upset her, so, and then there's another scene where he gets molested by a monkey when he's living on the island with the giants, because he's really small. There was another one, I was reminded of it last night, but I can't remember what it was, another thing I wanted to include. But he goes through a pretty rough time with the giants. He goes through a pretty rough time with the little people, too. And, now, the part 3 was with the Lilliputas, the people that are really all about intelligence and academia and mathematics, particularly. That one was a hard read, because math, whenever there's equations, math, numbers involved, then my mind glazes over. Like, there were a couple chapters where he was explaining things and how they thought, and he went to a place where these people were trying to invent new ways to do things. It was very confusing. It was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Not that it was, but for me, at least, it was very hard to follow. And I just couldn't get through it fast enough, although it wasn't that long. And then the last part, at first I was like, oh, it's about horses. He gets to spend time with horses. That's so cool. But then at that point, it's like, at that point, first of all, he was starting to see the flaws in his species and humanity. And he starts after learning the horse's language, because he's good at learning languages, he tells his master, as he calls him, about all the negatives about humanity and how we treat horses. And on the one end, I was like, okay, I kind of understand why horses would not like how we treat them, because, we put hooves on their feet that are metal and hard, that they'll get rocks stuck in them, in mud, which, seriously, I know, I know about that, because when I took horseback riding lessons, which is why I had such strong feelings about this section, and I would have to clean out their hooves, which, on the one hand, was like, I almost felt like, I just think about when I clean something out and get gunk and stuff and really dig into the crevices and get it all out, I feel like, I feel like relieved and accomplished in a small way. But, and then you use those, you put the weight of the saddle on their backs, and you have the harness and the bit that they put in their mouth. So, yeah, and sometimes people whip their horses, and so, yes, I definitely can understand why a horse would not like hearing that how their kind is treated in our world. So you can't so I definitely don't blame the horses for reacting like that. But at the same time, he's talking about all the negative things about humans. And granted, this is in the 1700s. But I almost feel like, okay, we're not that bad. And of course, I'm also not part of the government or politics or anything like that. And who knows, maybe he's talking more about England than anything, because he's from England. But it was just, I was almost like, okay, well, this is a bit harsh and judgmental, and I was a little indignant about it. But other than that, it's very interesting, and it is a satire. So it was kind of a commentary. It was definitely a commentary on society, which I find those very intriguing. I like satires. And I did read SparkNotes a little bit because, like I said, I kind of skipped that last little bit, the last handful of pages, like the last couple chapters, like last 3 chapters. And, I read, SparkNotes pointed out how the horses were there was no individuality amongst the horses. They were a social group. And how isolated Gulliver feels, and how he wants to be part of a community, about a group. He doesn't want to feel isolated, and that's why he identifies with the horses. And how the little people were pride, they represented pride. And how the giants kind of represent, that reminds me of the other thing that I thought was really funny about it. How the giants kind of represent the everyday life, the things that, we don't pay attention to, that aren't considered important, or the gross things that we do in day-to-day life. Like, Gulliver, who is, amongst the giants, he's really, really tiny, so he's really up close and personal, and he was talking about being really this close to a woman's body, and how it looks that close, right up in their face, so he sees, every tiny little detail of a woman's body. And he was really grossed out. Just the way he talked about it was kind of funny. And then the Lilliputians were all, I was looking at the whole fact that you can't even, as important, as much as I love, as great as having knowledge and reading and studying and focusing on mathematics and science or one of those academic subjects, it's not necessarily a good thing to focus, prioritize only that. Don't live your, focus on, live your life, do other things, socialize, do sports, or just, it's all these societies were not perfect. and showed how bad the flaws in each of these societies. And also, of course, looked at Gulliver, and the flaws in his character. And this is not my thing. I mean, but this is all Spark Notes. But how Gulliver was not just his obsession with not wanting to be an individual, not wanting to stand out, wanting to belong to a group, but I just had it. I cannot remember what I was going to say, but I can't remember what I was going to talk about. Oh, how that some people see Gulliver, I keep wanting to call him Oliver, because Gulliver and Oliver sound similar. How I keep grasping it, but then I lose it again. How he was kind of a void in personality. There wasn't a lot of individualism in him. Like, he was so focused on his learning and becoming part of these group of people. That's like, there wasn't an individuality. He doesn't have strong emotions or strong feelings or like strong beliefs. Because he's just, he would rather blend in than than stand out. And like, he probably does not like conflict. And you especially see this in the last section. Now, one of the things I didn't like, so I didn't like part 4 as much. Part 3 was okay, I didn't like it as much either. I didn't have strong feelings for part 2 and part 1. Part 2 was the funniest, in my opinion. As far as comedy, as far as being comedic. I wasn't too keen on the writing, and I don't know, being that this is a satire, I'm wondering if maybe Jonathan Swift intended and wrote it like that on purpose. But it was like reading someone's diary, so basically Gulliver was telling us things happened. He was like, this happened, so I did this, or they did this, or this happened next, or this is how they think, or this is how they feel. He was just telling us these things. We don't actually see it. Now, of course, in this case, maybe Jonathan Swift intended it that way. But if I'm going to read what I consider an adventure story, not just the satire, because it goes to these little islands and interacts with all these people, and there's pirates, there's traveling on sea voyages, there's some encounters with pirates, so it's still an adventure story. I want it actually to play. I want to see it. I want it to be shown to me. I don't want it to be told to me. I want to see it. I want to see the action. But like I said, I feel like was not Swift's point in the story. He was just using it as a way to get his point across and get his criticisms through. It's still worth a read. It's still an entertaining read, and if you like reading satire, then it's also good as a satire. So those are the ones. Oh, and the first one I finished was Rebecca. And that one was also really good. It was the first book I finished. I was hoping to finish it in November, but I didn't get through it until the first day of December. I didn't finish it. It's a domestic thriller, someone put it, about a woman who we don't know her name. She's with the woman she's training to be a companion for, visiting Monte Carlo, where she bumps into a rich man who's very well known. It's also known that his wife died in a boating accident, his first wife. And our main character immediately has this whirlwind romance with this guy, and she falls immediately head over heels for him, because she's such an awkward, shy person, desperate to be loved, to be considered someone's equal. someone's equal. And what ends up happening is she has a really quick marriage, and he takes her to his home in Manderley, but she is not welcome with open arms. She's constantly compared to his first wife, Rebecca, and basically she is trying to live up to Rebecca's name, prove her worth. But her husband, Maximus's name, is very distant with her, and she doesn't know if maybe he's still in love with Rebecca. But even if he's not, everybody else is. Everyone talks about how great Rebecca is, how she would do it this way, and how she felt about this, and how she would throw these lavish parties, and it makes our main character very insecure, especially with Miss Danvers. Miss Danvers is, I don't know if she would consider the housekeeper, but she is the elder, I'm just going to call her housekeeper, who was in love with, now I don't know if it's romantic love or just obsession, but she loved Rebecca. And she blames Maxim for Rebecca's death. And does not like him, but of course he's still her boss. And she's constantly judging our main character. So this was published in the 30s, I believe, but it is, and I don't feel like grabbing it right now. I don't know where it is. I mean, it's probably easy access, but anyway. But it's written like a Jane Austen novel or a Dickens novel. It's by, so at times the writing can be a bit tedious, but it's also very engaging because you want to know the mystery that is Rebecca. You want to know what happened to her. Like, did she really just have an accident, or someone murdered her, maybe? Or you just want to know, will our main character live up to those expectations? And I had some crazy theories about that one. They didn't turn out to be right, but, and just, why was everyone so in love with Rebecca? And was Rebecca really that great? And is Maxim still in love with her? Is something going to happen to our main character while she's trying to be like Rebecca? Are people going to be so like, you can never be Rebecca, and to the point of where something's got to happen to her? It was a very engaging thriller, which I think most thrillers probably are. It's just they all, and I could be wrong. I mean, I don't read a lot of them. I hardly read any of them. They just seem kind of formulaic. Although I'm sure Gone Girl, like Gillian Flynn's ones, are not. But I'm also someone who would rather just watch the movie version. Like, I don't have the desire to go. Although I could get at the library if I wanted to, because I don't know if we have a copy of it here anymore or not. My sister might have our copy. But anyway. But it's just so engaging, and our main character, I feel like, is, even though she's very frustrating main character, she's also very relatable. Like, I was wondering, would that be me in her situation? Because I've always been a very shy, awkward, insecure person, so I'm wondering, so I felt at times I could identify with her. Maxim was another incredibly frustrating. All the characters are incredibly frustrating. I wanted to shake them all. But then Miss Danvers was kind of crazy, so there's something not right up here. But it was very good. I think I either gave it 5. I think I gave it 5 stars. I really loved it, and I'm gonna read another one. I have another one of Daphne du Maurier's books somewhere on this shelf as well. I just gotta find it. That I want to read too. I don't remember what it's called though. Okay, so that's what I've read so far. Like I said, I think I've told you guys before that I DNF'd Sisters of the Winter Wood. I just took it back to the library. And I DNF'd The Goldfinch. I finally decided to DNF it because it's a very depressing book. It's beautifully written, but it's just really depressing. And I heard it just gets more depressing to the point of where you have a hard time feeling sorry for our main character because he's basically throwing this huge ass pity party. And after a while, it's like, okay, we get it. Granted, it's pretty tragic, but I don't think his mom would want him to be depressed all the time and would want him to live his life and be happy again. And it's like, I mean, really? He doesn't have at least a little more than just the glimmer of happiness? Like, there's gotta be some good stuff that happens for him. Like, it's in here that he does make a friend when he ends up going to live with his dad. And he does make a friend, I think. But then the friend is a bad influence on him. Although, from what people have said in the reviews that did not DNF it, they would say that his friend that he makes is actually the only good thing in the book, even though he's a bad influence. So, yeah, I've tried not to DNF any more books, but it's just really hard, and I'm just so used to DNFing now. Like, I'm just so comfortable. I'm getting more and more comfortable with the idea of it. But I do feel like I have to explain it every time. I've said it before that I feel like if you're going to DNF a book, you should at least, or if you don't like a book, you should explain why. But, I mean, if you finished a book and you didn't like it, then yeah, of course you're going to give it a summary. But if you DNF a book, I feel like you should also explain why. You know, I mean, if you guys disagree, maybe you'd save me the trouble to tell me I shouldn't worry about explaining why I DNF books. I feel like, but it's like at the same time, I imagine people would want to know so they can decide, okay, is this book worth my time? Is it interesting to me? Just because this person DNF'd it, maybe that doesn't mean I won't like it. Or maybe they DNF for the same reasons I would DNF it, kind of mentality. Okay, so I'm still reading Elantris. I haven't got very far. There's not a lot to say. We are still with that priest guy. He's talking with this religious zealot guy who's like, I hate these people. And the guy has said, okay, you're gonna be my apprentice, but you also have to let go of some of your hate. And we also get a little bit, I did read a little bit more of it before this, the read on. I don't know how to say his name. It's probably some fantasies that I struggle with pronouncing the name, so I can understand why people would be a little like they don't want to read if they struggle with Harry Potter at times, because there are a lot of names that can be hard to pronounce because they're like Greek names or something like that. We do get him, and he's continuing to learn about the world where the Elantrians are trapped, and how these people are slowly dying and going mad. And the princess has decided is continuing to investigate, but she just ran into her uncle who has a family, which surprises her because he's not that type, at least when she knew him. So he has his own family, he has a bunch of kids, and I'm that little girl, I want to be like, shut up. But his little daughter, I think to some she's probably adorable, but she has the whole, you don't look like a princess because you're too tall. That kind of silly way of thinking. But, I think it's interesting. I know a lot of people say that it's not his best work, and the writing style is very different. I can't tell. I would have to read 2 of his books at the same time or something, which I'm half tempted to do that. When we go to visit my grandma for Christmas, I keep debating about bringing The Way of Kings, but you know what? I think what I'm going to do is just bring this Brandon Sanderson book and then bring The Eye of the World, which I can use that for one of the Pop Sugar challenges. Someone pointed that out. Not directly to me, but I saw one of the Pop Sugar challenges is read a book with at least a 4-star rating on Goodreads, and they said that the first book does have 4.19 star rating. So I decided, you know what, I'll just go ahead, because I've had these 3 years I've done it, I've had trouble finding the books to match. And I feel like I should just not worry about it and just read the books, and if it happens to match it, then that's awesome. If it doesn't, oh well, there's no pressure to do these challenges. It's great that you can do them, and you can challenge yourself and go above and beyond, expand your reading horizons. But at the same time, I don't want to go searching for a book just to please just to satisfy these challenges. I'm someone who reads for enjoyment and entertainment and for escapism. Not that you guys want it if you do those challenges, but I don't want to put pressure on myself to make sure I have a book that fits one of those challenges. So yeah, I don't have much to say because I've been reading this during my breaks at work. So you guys know how long those are. And I did last night, I started reading Practical Magic. I barely remember the book. I remember reading it and enjoying it, but I barely remember what happened. The only thing I remember is a scene where I pictured one of the characters in a car with a guy. Talking to him. So, and I think it was Sally, and then the guy ends up being her love interest later on. I remember picturing them interacting in a car. It was, for some reason. So I don't know if maybe I just pictured it like that, but anyway, so I read the first little part where we've been introduced to the characters. There's no chapter breaks in this. There's just, there are breaks, but there's no chapters in this, really. There's just sections. We've been introduced to the girls, and of course they've experienced a lot of prejudice because they're seen as witches, so everything that goes wrong in the little town where they live, it's their fault. Kind of reminds me of in Nevermore, Morgan Crow, when she's considered a cursed child, so everything that goes bad in their little town is her fault. And we've also, I was going to say something else. We've been introduced to the girls in their lives, and people are prejudiced against them. Oh, and, we meet people who go to the aunts for love spells and stuff to get people, even, like, married men to fall in love with them and stuff like that. And I think they did kind of include that part in the movie, like, to show what the aunts do. So we do, like, specific things that they do. Because I remember in the movie, this young woman who, shows up and is like, I want him to love me so much he can't stand it. And the girls are there listening at the stairs, and there's the whole thing with the bird and all that. So I think that was supposed to represent what they talked about in that first section, that first part. So it's not long. It's not as dense as the prequel, but it's still a pretty chunky book. But my goal is to get, although it's sneaking up on us, my goal is to get the 5th book in the Keeper series, which I just realized I have it in my backpack. I'll show that in a minute, and read as much of this as possible. Because I know I'm going to probably need to bring some of my library books with me to visit my grandma. It's just, I have plans to bring some other books with me, but I don't know what I'm getting for Christmas. So, who knows how much stuff I'll have to put in my bag. Although I can bring stuff in my bag where I pack my clothes too. So, if I get not that I expect to get a lot of stuff, but even if I don't receive a lot of gifts, which I shouldn't, because, I'm not a kid anymore, so. They might, who knows, I might receive big gifts, I might not, I don't know, but anyway, I'm rambling, I don't want to seem like a spoiled, bratty child. So I'm working this. I haven't read that one. I'm focusing on that one, and then I'm also focusing on. Let me show this to you before I talk about the other library books. Well, actually, you've seen them all, except for the new one. I should have 2 new ones, I think. Oh yeah, I do. I have 2 new ones. I'll show you those in a minute. I'm reading the 5th book, Lodestar, the Keeper of the Lost City series, the 5th one, and oh my god, the 4th one ended on such a cliffhanger. In a cliffhanger where I want to shake someone and be like, you dumbass, that is such a bad, stupid move. And I think Shannon Messenger is trying to do what J.K. Rowling did, where as the series progressed, she grew with her audience and made it more intense and a little bit more mature as the story went on. So I think Shannon Messenger is doing the same thing. Which, yeah, I mean, kids get older. So, I mean, unless you're only going to do it within a small amount of time, the timeline of your series, and not go beyond a couple years, your characters are going to get older, unless they're, like, immortal or something. Although actually films are immortal. But I think they still age but not the way we age. Like, they don't get all wrinkly and stuff. So a lot is going on. It's very intense Sophie's once again trying to figure things out. She's trying to... Keith is in a very interesting position in this one. The characters that were introduced book 4 are still continuing to be part of their team. Things are changing at their school. Elysium is still going to be involved in the story. In fact, like, we just found out that Elysium is going to be moved next door to Foxfire, so they're going to focus not just on talents, but on skills too. And just what Elysium focuses more on, skills to survive. So I don't, like, it's a very conflicting thing, because it's like, is this good or bad? Maybe this is good. It seems like it's a good thing. But with these kind of situations, you can never touch government or councils. They're bound to screw it up. But it does seem like it's a good thing. So I think after this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dang, I just realized. So I don't know if they have anything after Nightfall. So I'm gonna have to buy the last set of books. Because I want to finish the series, but the stupid library does not have them. It doesn't have the whole series, I don't think. And that's what the problem is with libraries when you start checking out series in the library. My particular library, because it's not a big library, it does not have the whole dang on series. And, I can't easily go. There's another library in this town, but I think it's within driving distance, so I can't just easily go there and check. And I don't know if it's a bigger library anyway, but I know there's another one somewhere, like in Aberdeen or somewhere. But, yeah, I'm fun. I hope I'm using I'm using the bookmark my mom got me, I think, and I don't know how to, I don't know if I'm using it right. I hope I am. But my goal today is to get to chapter 40, because there's 83 chapters, so I want to get to chapter 40 by the end of today. And then I want to read as much as I can tomorrow, at least up to chapter 60. Because, like I said, and the good thing about this is middle grade / YA, so it's in a quick, easy read. The chapters are not, it's a big print for one, and it's like the writing style is a little more simpler than like an adult book, than something like this. Although, now that I think about it, I feel like it's not necessarily, because sometimes adult books, the writing is not that complicated. It depends on the genre. But I still feel like there's a simplicity to young adult and middle grade writing. Not just that they don't talk about sex or vulgarity or have bad words used and all that, but also there's like I said, I always feel like they're trying to keep their audience in mind, and teenagers and 12-year-olds typically their attention span might not last if it's a slow moving plot and the chapters are super long. So this is one of the new books I got from the library. Oh wait, no, it's not. No, it's not. This is not one. This is what I got from not yesterday's visit, but the visit before. The books I got from the visit, you've already seen. I haven't started this one, China Rich Girlfriend. I want to read this one. The good news is this is one of the ones that's actually at the library, so I'll get the rich people problems, because I don't know. I mean, I like it. I had a good time with the first book, but I don't know if it's one that I want to have on my shelf. It's one of those ones where read it once, then I will just rely on the movie if I want to familiarize myself with it again. Because I think they are going to make 2 more movies. Okay. So, like I said, I got An American Marriage still to read, and then The Knights of the Seven, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which typically these would be the ones I would want to bring to South Carolina. Because I always, when I travel, there's certain books I want to bring with me. So there's all those. Now, here are the 2 new ones. Okay, so I've heard a lot about this one. I think one of the people I've heard type this is Haley from A Bookland. I think it was her. It might have been someone else, but I can't think of who, because there are, I will hear about books in passing. This is another Deckled Edge page of the book. And there's also a staff pick. Oh! That woman that was there yesterday. This is her staff pick. I wonder if she remembered that. But, I mean, although she didn't say anything like, oh, that's a great read. It's probably World War. Yeah. A lot of World War II books. Way too many. In fact, another Pop Sugar challenge is read historical fiction that is not World War II based. Which, I mean, I think I could do it. I have some of those. Believe it or not. All my Ken Follett books. But this is one of those ones that I've heard about, but I don't know what the premise is, except for there's a woman in the castle. And it's during World War II. So I don't know much about it, but it was one of those ones that was oh, I need to check this out. Hence why I got it from the library. Plus I just don't want to, I want to read World War II books, but I don't want to go buy them because I don't want my whole historical fiction consist of World War II only books, because I like it, but I also want to read about other historical events. Although this one was pretty bad, pretty important. So I don't know about this, but I remember hearing a lot about it on BookTube. And then, okay, so this is a person that, and I probably should not have picked this size of a book, but this is Eric Carl Anderson's favorite author. And that is Joyce Carol Oates. And I just grabbed because it was one of these things where, like I said, I got there around 3 something, probably 3:15. So I had a little bit less than 2 hours before they would close. And also, it would probably get dark at 5. So I wanted to get out there before it got too dark. But this is one of these things where I just read the first couple sentences and was like, this is the most interesting one. I should not have started. Eric could probably say you shouldn't have started with this one if you're new to Joyce Carol Oates, but I am. Hopefully I don't regret it. Oh, good, big print. I like big print. I hope what happened with what's it called? The Luminaries won't happen with this one. But this is basically what really got my attention is Family Saga. I actually think that's what's the term? There's all from Book Olive did a tag about that, where there's certain words that get your attention and get you interested in a book, key terms and stuff like that. Family Saga gets my attention. That's why I read Leah Meacham's Roses, and I almost read the second one, the prequel, but I ended up not doing it because I don't know why. I just didn't like. I liked it and I enjoyed it, but I wasn't desperate to keep it, kind of thing. I think it was a little too soap opera-ish, and I hope that that's not this case with Joyce Carol Oates. But like I said, this is Eric Carl Anderson. This is his favorite author. So I decided I wanted to check her out, see if I like her. But she could also be one of those authors that I like her, but there's only certain books of hers that I like. Because, there's sometimes those authors, like, they're not autobiography authors, they're authors that you do enjoy, but you don't enjoy everything that they write. So they can't be autobiography authors anymore. Okay, so those are the two new ones I got. Like I said, I'm focusing on Lodestar and Practical Magic. I want to get those done first before I go. I mean, I probably will only get Lodestar done first. Maybe get a lot of Practical Magic read, but not finish it. And I have decided instead of reading Rose Matter in bed, I'm going to read Practical Magic in bed. Although I got through the prequel pretty quickly. But, so the last thing I want to update you guys on is what I purchased today. Okay, a little bit of Rose Matter, so, let me talk about this one first. So, Rosie is, like I said, she came across the painting that is mentioned in the description in a pawn shop. And the young guy that is running it, he's partners with an older man, but the young guy, immediately is smitten by Rosie and has just asked her out on a date. But she's still very terrified of her husband showing up and still very insecure because, of her husband Norman, who I want to punch in the face. I want to cut off his man parts. And he is, he's on the rampage to find her, and he actually assaults Slowick, the guy who told her about the daughters and sisters, that place where battered women can go. And of course, he shows up. He also beat the crap out of a guy who had found his, when Rose had threw his ATM card in a trash can. This is the guy that came across it. And so Norman beat the crap out of this young man. It was so he could get information from him. But, oh my god, this guy is so horrible and disgusting, and I can't stand him. And also, as far as the painting, it is starting to change, suddenly look different to Rosie. It seems like it's getting bigger and expanding, and she's seeing more in the picture. So I don't know it's very hard because King writes a lot of details. I mean, he is compulsively readable, but he takes a long time to get to the scary part. Or, and to slowly and subtly lets the mystery grow. So it hasn't really gotten even scary. The only scary aspect is the fact that Norman is a douchebag that might catch up with her. So I was going to read that today, but I never got around to it. So I'll probably read it this afternoon. Although since this video is of course, turns out to not be quick, surprise, by the time I get done, it'll probably be time to go and get ready for my run. Because, of course, I want to run between 3 and 4. So just before it gets too dark. So that's all I really have to say about that one. Like I said, it's very slow moving. Now, on to what I was originally going to say. Okay, so I got to the bookstore because I didn't know what was going on at their house, if the plumber was going to show up, and if the plumbing was going to be cut off, so I wanted to go to some place where I could spend there for a few hours, and also there would be a toilet, a working one, But right now, the plumber hasn't got here yet, so far our water has not been cut off yet. So I ended up going to I went to the bookstore, and I ended up getting 3 books. There were quite a few paperbacks. I almost got 2 Lisa C books, but I had decided, you know what, let me go ahead and read the ones I already have first, and I haven't read them yet. So, although I'm sure I'll like them, but I decided, you know, I'm gonna wait before I buy them, and just get through some of the ones I have hers I already have. Actually, I think my sister has one of her books anyway that I don't have here. It's down there. That's why I'm pointing down there. I think. Actually, they might be up there. Oh yeah, never mind. It's up there. So I almost bought that, and there were a couple other paperbacks that I was interested that were kind of had a like. Another thing that kind of gets me interested is if it's a story about sisters. I do want to read more of those. But I ended up not getting those because of another thing I spotted that was really exciting to spot. First, this is the first one I saw. As soon as I get there, this is a memoir by Lauren Graham, and for most of you, you know her as Lorelai Gilmore, but she's also on Parenthood, which is like a show, a sitcom, I think, or a drama. I think it's more of a drama. It is one of those, it's kind of filmed like Modern Family, I think, or Community, or like The Office, that kind of filming style. But I saw this there, and this is essentially a memoir about her time with those shows, particularly Gilmore Girls and she looks like her mom. So I was looking at, this is a picture. Where's that? The dedication page has a picture, and she looks like her mom. Actually, you guys can see it. But I saw this there, and I figured, you know what, it's not going to be cheaper at Books A Million. And I decided, I saw it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to get it. So, this is the one I'd be picking from the ones I first looked at. I don't know, I mean, like I said, it's a memoir about her time on Gilmore Girls, and everything in between is the thing. She's an actor I like, and so I liked her in I should say I liked her in Gilmore Girls. I never watched Parenthood, and her character was my favorite character on the show. I liked her better than Rory at times, although Rory I kind of related to in a lot more than Lorelai, except for I don't think I would go for someone like Logan. I don't think. Maybe I would. I don't know. But yeah, I remembered I was interested because I liked Lorelai, the character of Lorelai, and I was interested in Lauren Graham. So I ended up, so I figured I may as well buy it while it's there, you know. And I can't think of who else. Oh, you know what I could do? I could pass this on to my sister, and she can give this to Molly. See if my sister's from Molly's interested, because I know she likes the show too. So maybe I can give this when I'm done reading it. I can give this to my sister, and she can give to Molly when I'm done reading, which might be for a while, not for a while anyway. So I got that. Now the most exciting thing there. So the last time I was there, the classics collection had grown smaller. A lot of people had bought a lot of classics, and I looked for this author in the past there, and I ended up putting them on my wish list. So hopefully no one has bought these for me. If Terry Johnson's watching this, I hope you didn't buy these ones for me. I hope you looked to the order I did tell her, but she can forget things. So if she did, but hopefully she got the right one. Did not get these two. Right. But I ended up seeing there is a whole collection from the same series of Trollops, the Barchester series. I figured the safest bet was to get the third, and I think this is the fourth book. Just stick with those for now, and then hopefully they'll still be there. So someone got quite almost the whole series there. I think it was the whole series. But I don't want to get the whole series in case I get like the first book, which is The Warden. But this is the third book, Dr. Thorne. And this is actually the one that the library had. But then it's a series, so I ended up having to return it. Because unless you've read the first few books, which I think that one, I think this is the fifth one. Where is it? Where is it? It doesn't say. I have to look it up. But I really like these. I like these editions because they look battered. They look old. I like books that look old, like that are old, or that look it at least. Like the pages are yellow and ooh, yes, they're not blank. I love it when they're not blank. So this is Hardcore to Library of English and American Classics. So there are a lot of classics in these editions. Like on the back it has Jane Austen, Anne Bronte, one of her books, Charlotte Bronte, and Emily Bronte. Their books, and George Eliot. Her books are there. Oh, I almost got a George Eliot book from the library. It wasn't but it was a collection of her shorter novels in one. But I feel like I need to stay away from those and just buy them, or. And then this one, I think this is the. Does it say it? I do think this is the third one, because the first one is The Warden. The second one is Barchester Towers, and then I think this is the third one. So, like I said, I decided to I picked these two. Like I said, I like these. This is old. This is old edition, and I'm guessing that the person who had these might be an older person. But why did you get rid of them? Every time I see books like this at the bookstore, I'm like, why did you get rid of them? But yeah, at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm just gonna buy them. I'm gonna keep them. Although I didn't buy one of these actually, which is very nice. I almost feel like I need to do something for this woman, Lisa, who has helped me out a lot because she knows I'm a frequent customer and I've donated books to them constantly. So she actually did me this favor and bought one of them for me as a Christmas present, which I feel like I should do something for her in return. But I don't know what, and I don't know where her schedule is, and I feel weird. Having something for her, just showing up there to have something for her, and then I don't have anything for anybody else. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I feel like I need to do something. But anyway, so I'm glad I found these, and I'm nervous that if I don't get all of the books, then I don't know which one I'll get for Christmas if I get them. But then I'm worried that the other ones will be gone when I go there after Christmas. But anyway, okay, so it turns out, so I guess not so quick after all. So anyway, that is what's going on with my reading. I will try to film another video sometime soon, hopefully before we go to my grandma's for Christmas. I don't know if I will or not. It will depend on how long it takes for them to finish my bathroom. I mean, I could technically do, film in that room, but I think I am allowed to come up here, and I mean, it's not like I'm not allowed to come up to my room, so I could film at night. So I will probably still have time to film. I don't know, but I'll see. I mean, who knows though? Next time you guys see me might not be until 2020. 2020. I feel weird saying 2020 because, like, as my dad said, it makes you think of Barbara Walters. So I prefer saying 2020. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you have not already. And I hope you're enjoying your reading and would love to know what you guys are reading currently. Have you been using your library lately? Are you like me and get more from the library than you can handle? And as always, I will talk to you later in case I don't see you until 2020, and Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, Happy New Year, and I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!